Hello and welcome to Pokésports, a competitive Pokemon podcast. I'm Mike and I play with one Pokemon on the field.
I'm Kevin. They put a neck on Raikou.
Welcome to Pokésports Presents. This is the day that we've all been waiting for, 8/08, 2023. For you folks, it's a day later, but probably by now everybody has seen the Pokemon Presents that has been shared just a couple hours ago for you, less than 30. If not 24.
35 minutes worth of a direct too. I think this is the longest
35.
Pokemon Presents we've ever had. You bet they are.
That's right.
So long, a lot of information, not all super relevant to the podcast, but a lot of relevant stuff to the podcast.
What do you mean? I think every single piece of that was relevant to the podcast. What part do you think is irrelevant to the podcast?
Cafe mix.
What? Okay, listen. If we can make sleep competitive, we can absolutely make Cafe Remix competitive.
That's fair. There will be a sleep section later because I have a lot of updates to do from our last week's sleep section. But I don't know, man. I think we got revealed a lot of important things and a lot of not so important things.
Okay, so let's structure the episode, shall we?
Okay.
How about today? Let's talk about Pokemon Presents first.
Okay.
We'll get into the DLC, which is also a part of Pokemon Presents. But honestly, I'd say that kind of exists outside of it because it's just so important to us.
Yeah, fair.
We'll get into Pokemon Sleep, of course. And then is there anything else that we need to get into today?
Not that I know of.
All right. Well, then
Worlds
those
is
are the
this
three
weekend,
things.
if you didn't
Oh,
know
yeah,
yet.
right.
Like,
well, that thing.
Yeah.
That
Worlds
whole
is this
thing.
weekend. We'll talk about what happens next week about what happened at Worlds.
Exactly. So let's start with that, actually. Inside the Pokemon Presents, the very first thing that they did was 10 minutes of FOMO, showing everybody what they're missing, showing the people there what they can see. It's kind of cool. Like the stuff that they revealed there was pretty cool. What kind of stuff do you remember seeing?
The cruise ship, the photo ops, the cool bags that no one will probably be able to have because they're all scalped. The cool t-shirts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of merchandise, yeah.
It feels like this year they're going particularly ham with the merchandise, or at least they're advertising it really well this time.
They said the
around.
biggest pop-up Pokemon Center ever. So
Wow.
I'm proud of them.
Yeah. Good job, Pokemon Company. You guys are doing it well. Yokohama's going to be buzzing with Pokemon for the next week and a half, probably the next month, to be honest, because this is, I mean, like locally, this is kind of like the Olympics.
Pretty much, yeah. This is the first time they're coming to Japan. We learned that last week when we were going through all the countries they went to. None of them were Japan. So this is literally, hey, home turf. We're going all out. And you could clearly tell that they feel that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to be an incredible event that I'm very sad that I'm missing.
Yeah. I just had the thought the other day where, like, if we were going to be going to Worlds, we would have been there right now.
Yeah.
There was a time where we were planning out our month to be there currently, but it's okay. It's okay because we have so many other things to prepare for now. Let's get into that. All right. So they showed off a couple of new animes that they're putting out, new shows that they're putting out. That's great.
A lot of cool animation too. It's
really
like,
cool
I don't know
animation.
what's going on at the Pokemon Animation Studio, but they're taking all of their mainline series game budget and they're putting into the animation studio because they're pumping out some animes and they're looking really good.
Masters EX has a couple of new things that they're adding. They're bringing in Nimona and Palmot, and I believe Victor and Spectrier.
I didn't know that Victor's ace was Spectrier. It's kind of cracked, but I guess he did find it in the Crown Tundra, so kudos, Victor.
He did it. Meanwhile, Nimona with her Palmot is like,
yeah, Nimona got that Palmot beware.
Yeah, exactly. There's some new stuff in Cafe Remix. You got Tatsugiri in there right now. So if you're into that, then you can go and play with that. I believe there's also a new like Jigglypuff with a new Jigglypuff skin or something. So if you're into that, amazing. And then in VGC news, not in VGC news, in Scarlet and Violet news, there's going to be a new raid. There's going to be a Attack on Mewtwo raid, pretty much.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Month and a half.
Because it's like it seems like they're given a lot of preparation time for this Mewtwo. I think it's going to be a very hard raid because one, it's a Mewtwo, and two, it's going to be a Psychic Terra Mewtwo.
Yeah,
and Mewtwo gets access to things like Aura Sphere, so it's not going to be as simple as hey, bring a Dark type and be okay. That Mewtwo's going to hurt, real bad with that Psychic typing. But what's also cool is that they also announced Mew, which is something that I didn't think anyone was really expecting. Because like you saw the Presents teaser. You had that little glitch on the M. You're like, oh, I see what's happening here. Purple M. It's interesting that they're actually bringing in Mew, which is typically a mythic Pokemon, which is rarer. You don't get it through regular access in the game. So the fact that they're giving it to us through regular access in the game is kind of cool.
That is really interesting. I mean, by the way, if you want to go and get your Mew for the event, just put in the code Get Your Mew, but the O is a 0. That's GETY0URMEW. Just pop that into your gift area, and you'll get yourself a Mew for this event.
Random Terra type.
Terra type, but you can go and change it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Cool thing about Mew is it can learn pretty much any move in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty wild. It has some interesting implications for how that's going to work with competitive, because think of Walking Wake and Iron Leaves, right? If you can still remember Walking Wake and Iron Leaves.
Remember those guys.
Pokemon are technically in the game. They're not legal yet, but we can all kind of assume that at some point they're going to allow Walking Wake and Iron Leaves to be legal. They could go this to one of two ways, I would say. Either they start doing more regular mythic raids and then allow those Pokemon to be in competitive, or what they do is still ban Mew and the other mythics, but make Walking Wake and Iron Leaves a little more commonplace with the DLC. Maybe what we did is got an early access to those new Pokemon because of what they revealed later on. We'll get to that.
I have a feeling that the reason that Series 13 existed is to test it, to be like, what would happen if we allowed Mythic Pokemon in, and would people be upset about us allowing Mythic Pokemon in? That's what I think it might have been, like a testing waters, and I don't know how people really saw it. I didn't think Mythic Pokemon made a serious impact, in all honesty.
I don't think it did either. I
just
think
Magearna, pretty much. That was the only one that got to see actual competitive play.
I do worry a little bit because I did notice like a severe decline in interest when the Mythics came out. And to me, that means that it wasn't inclusive enough. That means that people who didn't have the Mythics were sad that they couldn't play with them and they had no way of getting them. So they dropped off and they just didn't play that series. So I worry a little bit if Pokemon isn't going to be giving you proper mythicals on a more regular basis, that people just kind of drop off because they don't have the things.
At the same time, a Pokemon that is currently legal and very popular is called Urshifu, who is still sitting behind a paywall in a previous game.
Ooh, that's true.
Like, a lot of people are very controversial about that. Like, why are we allowing a Pokemon that's still, you have to pay, $30 on a DLC in a game that some people might not own to be playable in this game? We should have Urshifu. I personally believe we should have Urshifu raids to make it more accessible. Because currently it's not accessible, and it's very hard to get, and it's very good at the game.
Airdrop everyone a Cubfu.
Yeah, like, that's honestly, give us anything.
That's interesting. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's still sitting behind a paywall.
Yeah. Okay, wow. All right, well, there's that. Mega Mewtwo Y and X are going to be in Pokemon Unite, or are in Pokemon Unite.
Available August 17th.
There you go.
Mewtwo Y will be available August 17th. So they announced X and they released X. But Y was still unreleased. I think they're waiting till after Worlds for Y. I don't know.
Okay, interesting.
Why? but
They
that
don't-
is why.
They don't want to drop too many game meta defining things.
And apparently Mewtwo X is actually very, very cracked in Unite. I've heard Mewtwo X plus Comfy is like a disgusting combination.
Very cool. Pokemon Sleep is getting a good sleep day event, which will increase drowsy power. Which, if you aren't on Pokemon Sleep yet,
Drowsy
why
power
not?
is very important. Yeah, drowsy
Yeah.
power is pretty much what gives your Pokemon experience. So if you can have a night of increased drowsy power, heck yeah.
That's right. That's right. What else? Before
We got
get into
Pokemon
DLC,
Go news.
Pokemon Go news.
Paldea's coming to
Pokemon.
Pokemon Go.
That's right.
Didn't they skip a couple of generations? Or they like sprinkled in some Gen 8, right? They didn't. Are they finally
sprinkle
caught
in-
up?
I think they sprinkle in like handfuls of stuff every
Okay.
now and then. Yeah.
So this might just be like a handful of stuff.
hmm
Also, we didn't talk about Detective Pikachu at all.
They showed the Detective Pikachu game. Yep.
There was a release date on that. It's like October 8th, October 9th, something like that. Probably
Yeah.
the first Friday of October is what I'm going to say.
We'll be on Detective Pikachu watch because honestly, I feel like after the movie, the Detective Pikachu games got a lot more critically acclaimed.
That's fair.
Very little people played Detective Pikachu, the first one. And then the movie came out, and everybody
Mhm.
watched that because of the animation style. And now people are actually paying attention when the Pokemon Presents shows Detective Pikachu
Mm-hmm.
with Tim
makes sense.
Goodman.
Yes. Tim Goodman.
I can't get enough of that name.
Good man.
Tim Goodman. He's the protagonist. So here's something great from the Presents. Pokemon trading card game for the
Mhm.
Game Boy is now being put, like as of yesterday, you can go and get this right now, is now on the Nintendo Switch Online store.
In like
Kevin
the,
has to go and download that right
Yeah,
after
yeah,
this
yeah.
because he hasn't played it.
I gotta finish Pikmin because
Yeah.
I'm so close to saving Olimar.
Okay.
And then
no, there's a whole end game, buddy.
I can't
Uh-oh.
wait. And then after that, I guess my new addiction is going to be the trading card game online. Not online.
not online,
Game
yeah.
for the Game Boy game.
Unfortunately. Oh, but I wonder if you can do 2-player on that.
There wasn't
Whoa.
originally, right?
There
Or
was. You could link.
Oh,
cable
then
it.
absolutely you can.
I don't. Well, because
TCG me, bro.
TCG me,
Mhm.
bro. All right. And then the other big announcement is Pokemon Stadium 2 was also added to the Nintendo Switch Online.
Got Gen 2,
Uh,
baby.
So we just might have to do another Stadium SmackDown series.
Yes.
Stadium SmackDown 2.
2.
So there's that. All right. Let's get into the Academy stuff, into the DLC. We got more information on the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disc, both of the chapters for the DLC, The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In the
Which-
Teal Mask. Yeah.
Which has a release date now, September 13th,
Yes.
2023 is the Teal
Oh,
Mask.
Stop
It is
telling me that. No.
soon. Like,
it's like tomorrow.
that is literally a month from now, yeah.
I started playing a clean version of Pokemon Scarlet a little while ago, and I'm like 3 gyms in. I need
you
to
gotta
finish
finish the
that.
game now. Yeah. Congratulations. You gotta play the game.
I wanna. All right. In the Teal Mask, you've got a teacher named Briar sending you on a school trip to Kitakami, where people grow apples. And wouldn't you know it, one of the major Pokemon that has been shown in that trailer is not Applin, but Diplin.
New Pokemon, actually, not even an
Yeah.
Applin form. This was confusing to me. It is
It's like a Wug trio, I guess, right?
I guess. That's a fair point. This could just be a Paldean form, but it's not. But it's not. So it's like a regional variant or whatever they're calling it. Convergent evolution. So yeah, we got a candied Applin, Diplin. I think it's cute. We don't know anything else beyond, hey, it's related to Applin. It's a grass dragon type. But this implies different evolutions now. Will it have 1? Will it have 2? What happens here? Which just interests me.
I have a feeling, and I'm happy to be pleasantly surprised on the negative on this, if Applin evolves into Dipplin. Because it starts as just an apple and then it gets all candied. So to me, it's like, why would they start out candied? Doesn't sound right to me. But maybe that opens up an opportunity for a third evolution.
Can't wait
Applin,
till
Dipplin and Crunchlin or something. I don't know.
Can't wait till we have Dlapple and Dlappleton.
Dlappleton, exactly.
Dlappleton and Dlapple.
It's an apple pie dragon, but with cinnamon on it.
Ooh, okay. Listen, I'm here for it.
It's a cinnamon apple pie. So that's the teal mask. We didn't get too much about it. The trailer showed a terastallization of Ogerpon that turned it into a different Pokemon, which was pretty sick. But then they went on to like explain all of the different elements of the trailer they just showed, and they skipped it entirely.
Yeah, it looks like that there's definitely a different kind of form for Ogerpon. Like it has a terrestrial form is what they're calling it, which is interesting. But they just didn't announce anything else about it. My thought process is maybe Pokemon with terrestrial forms get better stats, are certain typings, and only those typings, which kind of makes you think of, hey, Mega Evolution.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, that'd be cool. Like every time Ogerpon turns into a dark type, it turns into terrestrial Ogerpon. Or every time Ogerpon turns into a grass type, it turns into terrestrial Ogerpon. And then its stats get adjusted. Yeah.
Ah, like a D-Max, G-Max kind of thing even.
Because currently, because
like one part Mega Evolution, one part D-Max, G-Max, where like if you turn it into other things, not of those specific types that you just mentioned, then it just turns into regular Ogerpon with a hat.
Yeah. So if you make it like a fairy Ogerpon, it just turns into Ogerpon with a fairy hat. But if you turn it specifically into a dark one, it becomes terrestrial Ogerpon or something like that.
Interesting.
That'd be interesting. You could do that with like Dragon Charizard and stuff like that too. And I think Cerebi also confirmed another Pokemon with a terrestrial form that we've seen before. We've actually seen their terrestrial form first is Terrapagos.
Oh,
Little Terrapagitos is still Terrapagos, but when it terrestrializes into its terrestrial form, becomes the big Terrapagos.
Ooh, okay.
So that's actually considered the terrestrial form there.
Now, has this been confirmed, or is this
Yes, this was tweeted by Cerebi. Oh. It has been confirmed that Terrapagos has two forms, normal form and terrestrial form. So this is legit.
Got it. So when we got the Indigo Disc announcement, we got the little Terrapagos and the big Terrapagos. But when we got Ogerpon, we only got little Ogerpon, and now we're getting big Ogerpon.
Well, actually, we only got big Terrapagos in the Indigo Disc announcement. The anime is the one that showed us the little Terrapagos first.
Right. Okay. That's strange that they would do it that way. That's interesting.
Hey, listen, they're taking some moves and some strides.
Yeah. I mean, it would be really cool to see if that changed the stats for sure. I think it makes a lot of sense. Bring back Mega Evolution, but in kind of a
different way,
like lesser seen way. Yeah. I wonder if that means that they're going to introduce that for other Pokemon. I doubt it, just on how it looks like they're showing things off.
Listen, all I'm saying,
anything's possible,
is that they're introducing terrestrial forms.
Yeah.
In the region right next to Generation 6 where Megas were introduced. There's still spot for another DLC, man.
Are you saying we're going to possibly get a DLC with Megas?
No, I'm just saying that, listen, maybe going back to Kalos ain't too out of the imagination, you know?
That's fair. Okay.
They keep introducing little hints and nuances to Kalos here. You know, it's crazy. Did you actually see this theory? I know we're going off on a tangent, but did you see the theory that the area that is blacked off is still technically unused, but the area that's blacked off on the top of the map, all the Pokemon in that little strip of land that is blocked off are all Kalos Pokemon. they have Halucha, they have
Oh,
Gudra,
wow.
they have everything from Kalos is in that little area where Kalos is supposed to be.
So I guess this kind of depends on where the Blueberry Academy is and
In
where
the
that
ocean.
exchange stuff and like Hitakami and stuff is. It's like
Hitakami's
if that is
might be up there, yeah.
if that uses that area, then like man, want, but still,
Fair.
that's a cool theory. And then we've got the Indigo Disc, where you're an exchange student for the Blueberry Academy, and there's a BB League where students battle each other. At the top of that, there's a league of an Elite Four featuring Lacey, Amaris, Drayton, and my boy Crispin. I have now decided to make Crispin my personality.
You are Crispin. Man was
Crispin-
sauteing a Pokeball.
Dude was sauteing a Pokeball. Let him cook. Let him cook. Please. You know what? I'm going to make the joke before anybody else does. I'm sure somebody else already has, but I need to find that still and tweet it.
Let
So
him cook.
if you go on the Pokésports Twitter, you're going to be able to see that.
The X.com.
X.com. Exactly.
But
So,
yeah,
Teal Mask, yeah.
Am I the only one that's more hyped for the second one than the first one? Don't get me wrong, the Teal Mask I'm hyped for. We get the cool new dogs that we still don't know typings for, which is kind of weird that we're a month away and we don't know the typings for the new trio. I said dogs, but one of them's a dog. The other one's a bird. Yeah, we still don't know typings. I can assume that they're probably poison type. I can assume that they each have their terrestrial form since they're introducing that new mechanic with Ogerpon, right? They probably have a terrestrial form for each of those three heroes or whatever, but they're not
Almost
revealing
certainly.
any of that to us, which is so weird, right?
They're not showing it off. I don't understand why they're not showing it off, but I can also kind of understand why they're not showing it off.
Did you see?
Like that's the big part of the game. It's the major gimmick.
There is stills that like they each have a different form, like a masked form, which is probably their terrestrial form. Like they've glazed over that in the trailer.
Did they?
Yeah, I could show you some screenshots I have here.
Ooh.
Oh, also, we just got more information on a lot of the new Pokemon on the website too, so that's going to be really nice for the pod.
Oh, I can't wait.
Like they have forms. Like that's what looks like Phesandipity's alternate form or something. Like that's a pink mask on a little boy.
You don't think that that's just a mask that you can wear to represent Pheasantipity?
I could. But like
I hope not.
I hope not, but like it doesn't look like it is.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh, okay,
What?
we didn't even get to this Pokemon yet, but I'm getting some competitive hints on Duraludon's new friend.
So let's get into that then. So
Yeah.
at the end of the Teal Mask announcement, they showed an evolution for Duraludon, which name is Archaludon.
Fancy.
Still a steel dragon.
Dude's a bridge.
Its ability is stamina or sturdy. So stamina, that's interesting.
Stamina is cracked, dude.
Yeah, guy has like a city on his back now.
Just think of Mudsdale, but a dragon steel type. What
And
the heck?
this
Every
is
time
the
you
first
get
time
hit,
that I'm-
defense
this-
goes up.
Yeah, this is the first time that I'm reading this as well, but we've got a new move on that called Electro Shot. Reading it for the first time, with this electric type special move, Archaludon gathers vast quantities of energy and fires off a high voltage bolt of electricity. Under rainy weather conditions, Archaludon can immediately fire off this attack without having to spend time charging it up. It's a rain type solar beam.
A rain solar beam electric type move, and you can para electric
yes.
this guy with stamina. They are making rain cracked with things like Walking Wake coming out, with things like Archaludon coming out, with Kyogre probably coming out in the near future. This is the weather game, baby. Like it's gonna be an absolute weather war once all these Pokemon come out.
They're really leaning into the weather there.
Yeah. I'm hyped. That's a cool one. And I'm just like constantly refreshing until new things come out.
Well,
I'm
how
just
about
like,
this? How about this? There were two other Paradox Pokemon that were shown, and that's a Paradox Raikou and a Paradox Cobalion named Raging Bolt and Iron Crown.
Iron Crown. I like those
Iron
names.
Crown and Raging Bolt.
Got
Pretty
Walking
cool.
Wayne, Raging Bolt. Okay, got some cool names. I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm. So it's yet another kind of prehistoric version of the Raikou Entei Suicune. They haven't shown Entei yet, I should say, but yeah,
It's
this
coming.
one makes Raikou look really cool in concept art, but in the game, everyone was like, "What have they done to my boy?" It's a
They
very
made
long,
it a giraffe.
It's a very long neck.
Yeah, they made it a giraffe, but the concept art looks so much better than the other one, right? The concept art, I like it because it has like a cloud around its face, so it's a little cooler. But I don't know. In game, it looks a little weird. I'm a fan though.
Yeah. Hold on.
The other one, the
Let him
Iron
Cook. There we go.
Mike had to make it.
Thank you.
The other one is based off of Cobalion. I'm sure you mentioned it already. Kind of just looks like a steel Cobalion, the same way that Iron leaves, but where does he go? Looks like a just a steel or an electric version of Virizion. It's very similar in that regard.
Right.
They looks like they at the time that we're recording this, they don't have typings announced for those yet, which is a little bit sad.
Well, you made a very interesting point that if they're keeping with the previous thing that they did with like Walking Wake being Water Dragon, then this could very well just be Electric Dragon. It looks zappy enough to be electric for sure, and then just maybe you're popping in a dragon type in there, which is still really good.
Yeah, on Electric Dragon, like if that's what they're gonna do with the theme here of the Paradox past versions of the legendary beasts, then I think Dragon would be really cool. Just having a Fire Dragon, Water Dragon, Electric Dragon, all three cracked typings. Those are all very good typings there. Cobalion, on the other hand, or what was it, Iron Crown?
Yeah.
It has to keep the steel typing. It looks like you mentioned ice, I mentioned electric. I'm leaning towards ice now that I realized that I don't know. I feel like it'd be weird for it to be electric when the Iron Leaves already has a thing. Actually, no, they all have Quark Drive, don't they? Huh?
Sure do.
Yeah, that could be an electric type. It could be either ice or electric, but mixed in with steel.
Right.
I think would be, which isn't the great typing though. Like the more that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that's kind of bad.
Well, I was saying this before we started the podcast that like it's hard to make a dual type steel that isn't Heatran.
Yeah,
like Heatran is kind of the dual type steel Pokemon. Other ones, not really that great. You look at maybe Duraludon back in SV, and it's like, okay, the typing didn't really hold it back. The typing helped it more than it hurt it, I think. And with our Chaludon, this will absolutely make it hopefully quite relevant. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be at least a usable Pokemon.
That's fair. I mean, its stats are going to be similar enough. Anything with base like 590 stats is going to be good. It's really hard to mess that up. But yeah.
Because Duraludon already has 535 base. Isn't that nuts? That like they're going to evolve that.
Yeah, you could put an Eviolite on Duraludon now.
Well, yeah, I mean, Fu said that as well, right? Like it could be kind of good, right? You have 115 base defense on Duraludon. You're going up to what are you adding there? 50, 55-ish. So you're going up to like 170 base defense and 75 defense, which isn't bad, but they put stamina on our Chaludon.
Yeah.
So I think that is to say that like this has enough defense already, and you're going to give it more with its abilities. So
I'm gonna play devil's advocate though.
Probably not going to work. Yeah.
Duraludon gets Stalwart though. Stalwart isn't a bad ability. Remember, you can avoid redirection with Stalwart, so that's still not awful. I think they're both each gonna have a use case, right? Yeah, like which one is better? Right?
I see the point. Yeah, I worry though that the more strong Pokemon come out, the less things like Indeedee or Clefairy or Amoonguss for sure, the less those get used. Because right now, at a point where like in stat total, they actually kind of rival or come a little bit close to the current average of the meta. This is before they enter with all of these like base close to 600 Pokemon.
That's fair. Yeah.
They're gonna have to be good follow me users in order to make that work.
How much did you say Duraludon's base stat is? 500?
535.
Yikes. They have to make this at least 600, 635 for it to be
Imagine.
relevant. Yeah. Like they have to.
Imagine.
If they want to convince people not to use Eviolite and actually use this cool new toy, they have to buff the heck out of this thing.
Yeah.
Right. They have to make. What is King Gambit, for example?
Okay. Yeah,
So let's use that as an example. Bisharp and King Gambit.
So we've got King Gambit sitting at 550.
Wow.
Which
That's
is a lot
lower
less
than I thought. Yeah, it's really lower than I thought.
And then Bisharp is sitting at 490. So Bisharp wasn't that high.
Yeah.
They power crept it with King Gambit.
So here's what they're gonna have to do. They're gonna have to take this bridge, make it very slow.
Okay.
And that'll justify it. Right? If they can bring it into a speed tier where it's cracked in Trick Room, that'll justify it. Okay. That'll justify the stat distributions and not running Eviolite instead. Or they make it super fast, but I don't think they make a bridge fast. That'd be weird.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Rhydon's sitting at 485 as well. And then Rhyperior was brought up to 535. And so Rhyperior was 535. The exact same as Duraludon. Same stat line as Duraludon. But Rhyperior was insane because it had low speed.
Because it's not supposed to be it's supposed to be a standalone. It's not supposed to have an evolution. So that when they add evolutions to standalones, that's where it gets a little awkward. What about Ursaring and Ursaluna?
Oh, good one. All right, so Ursaring.
See, but that one gets guts, so that's why you want the Flame Orb. So I can see why that one's used, yeah.
Ursaring's closer. Ursaring is at 500.
Okay. To what, 560 something?
And yeah, Ursaluna goes up to, let's see, 550.
I guess 550 is going to be the magic number then. But that won't justify
it. Went up 50 stat points.
That won't justify it to me. Right. I would say, hey, just use Duraludon with Eviolite.
This thing's going to have to go way up.
It's either going to have to go way up to like a 590 or it's going to have to go to 550 but have 20 base speed and the rest of those stats distributed in better places.
See, but why couldn't they bring it up to 600?
I mean, they can. It's just that they've never done it before.
Well, I mean, Dragapult. I just had a thought.
Well, that's a pseudo legend, though.
What if they make it a pseudo legend?
I guess that's fair. A pseudo legend in a DLC. I mean, 600 isn't out of the question. There are Pokemon that are 600.
Well, yeah. Even Urshifu is 550. It's interesting.
Mm.
Anyway, we could get down this rabbit hole. But I need to move on for my sanity.
Archaludon, baby. It's gonna be pretty good, maybe.
It's gonna be pretty good, maybe.
Did we mention it's a Steel Dragon type? Shocker.
Yeah. Was there anything? So Kevin, while we were talking, just sent me scarletviolet.pokemon.com. Did we talk about everything that's inside there, do you think?
For the most part, there is a new Diplin information, actually.
Oh, yes. This is coming out as we record the podcast. I love this.
Getting added on. Diplin, the new regional evolution for Applin.
I knew it.
It is an evolution.
Boom.
So Diplin is the final version of this Pokemon.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. It gets a new ability called Super Sweet Syrup. It's a fun thing. What it does is that it lowers the opponent's evasion when sent out. That's different.
Oh, no.
It lowers their evasion when sent out. So its inaccurate moves become more accurate, right?
Anyone's inaccurate moves become more accurate, Kevin. Think about this.
Slide.
You're now able to put Pokemon with Sleep Powder on the field, and then you send out a Diplin. And
maybe
now
Diplin
you can
use Sleep Powder.
Now you can use Sleep Powder without having to have a wide lens on your Pokemon.
Yeah, that's fun. It also gets Gluttony. But I think Super Sweet Syrup is going to be the fun one to use.
Absolutely. Because there's so many.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Huh? Okay.
So the big problem with a lot of moves in Pokemon, and I want people to really think about this. The big problem with a lot of moves in Pokemon is that they don't have 100% accuracy. They just don't. And if you're running things like I don't know, what's Dropkick Lady? Serena.
Yeah.
Most of
Dropkick
its
Lady.
problems, it does high damage, but it needs to have a crappy item in order to actually make them hit consistently.
But it don't hit.
But it don't hit. So now you can just pop a choice band on Serena, throw out a Diplin, and just go to town.
Now, is that every single time that you throw it out, it's going to drop? That's crazy.
Yeah, think of it like Intimidate, but for evasiveness.
It also has a new signature move called Syrup Bomb. Lowers the opponent's speed for 3 turns. Now, if that's a spread move, dude, it doesn't say if it's a spread move, but if it's a spread move, you get to lower their speed.
If that's a spread move, dog,
that's going to be pretty good.
It's going to be good.
I'm excited. That's nice. I like this. This is a thing for me. I'm happy about this.
I think, okay,
I'm going to use this in VGC somehow if it's allowed.
They made some really interesting utility in Diplin.
Yeah. Like, they spend time thinking about this Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because you can even say, like, Archaludon, they're like, okay, they just made bigger Duraludon and then gave it an electric move, like, whoop-de-doo. But, like, they spent utility time thinking about this. Like, we're going to drop Evasion, and we're going to have Speed.
This just in, Mass Outbreaks are back. The first event will feature Clefairy, Pokemon only available in Kitakami, that will also be catchable in Paldea during the event.
Oh.
You'll need to update your game, but not buy the DLC to catch it, from September 29th to October 1st.
Okay, so by this time, the DLC is out, but this is good for people that weren't buying the DLC, I guess.
Right.
Outbreaks. Oh, so that means there's probably a higher chance of shinies for people that care about that. That's good. Fancy.
Very cool. So with that, for now...
Yeah, there might be more. Who knows?
That's all that we've got at the moment. But I'm sure by the end of the podcast, there's going to be at least another announcement coming out.
Who knows at this point, right?
I'm really interested in Diplin now. But then I was also kind of interested in Wugtrio, and that's like the worst Pokemon in the game. So that's one of the Pokemon Diplin that its typing holds it back like way far.
Now, what would you do if Crispin was sauteing a Diplin in his...
I'd let him cook.
That would have been funny.
I'd let him cook. Okay. Do you want to get into Pokemon Sleep?
Listen, guys, I spent a lot of time on Pokemon Sleep. I have officially gone absolutely insane with this game. So last week we mentioned the existence of optimization in berry teams and ingredient teams, right?
Yeah.
So I took that a step further. I went ahead and I looked at each berry because I came to the conclusion that I realized that once you give a berry that Snorlax likes for that week, the points skyrocket. It goes from like 30 something to 80 something. That's double pretty much, almost more than double, or is more than double. So you should always try to feed the Snorlax the berries that he wants. So I went ahead and I made, I compiled a list of every single berry in the game and found the best Pokemon to harvest those berries.
Right. Now, I did notice how about this? I'll read the list. I noticed that Wiki isn't on this.
Wiki Berry? It should be. I did Wiki Berry. Wiki Berry is Houndoom. It's not Leppa. It's Wiki.
Oh, okay. Cool. So let's.
I had that memorized is the problem.
You knew that it wasn't there because you've memorized this. All right. So looking at the best berries for your Pokemon, do you want to go through each berry?
Absolutely. Listen, the people want us to. Okay. So I will just preface this by saying that for these Pokemon, you should try to have speed of help up in any way that you can. If you can get energy down and experience down, that would be the best case scenario. But this early on in the game's life, I wouldn't stress if you have like something else down.
Like
as long as you get speed of help up, that's pretty good. If not, balanced Pokemon work just fine. If you just have neutral natures, whatever.
It's also worth saying that you can make up for a lot of the skill down stuff with your main skill and your sub skill. So
Yeah.
if your sub skill offers some kind of extra ingredient finding mechanic, then that can kind of offset the skill down that you have there. But
It actually does offset it more than it hurts it. So it's actually really good. So
right.
if you have ingredient down, but you have ingredient up in the skill set, the up will be higher than the down. So it'll still be a positive, a net positive.
Okay. So Pokemon and Berry earned.
Got it. All right. Magnezone. Oh, also, all these Pokemon drop 2 berries if they can. Some don't because they're the only Pokemons that get access to these berries. Like Magnezone and Blueberry, Magnemite is the only family that can get access to Blueberry. So even though it doesn't drop 2, it's still your best option currently because we don't have more Pokemon in the game. So Magnezone with Blueberry. You have Gengar with Bluckberry. Gengar does drop 2. You have Cherry Berry with Primeape, Chestoberry with Toxicroak, Meganium with Duranberry, Marowak with Figgy Berry, Raichu with Greppa Berry, Typhlosion with Leppa Berry, Butterfree with Lumberry, Espeon with Mago Berry, Feraligatr with Oranberry, Altaria with Yaki Berry, Dodrio with Palm Tree Berry, Togekiss with Pekka Berry, Raticate with Persim Berry, Walrein with Rostberry, Golem with Citrus Berry, and Houndoom with Wiki Berry.
So those aren't the only Pokemon that drop those berries, but if you look at your Snorlax and what it's looking for that week, it's always 3 different berries, and I believe it varies between from game to game. You want to use a Pokemon that will drop both as much as possible and as well as like
as
if
fast.
its ability lends to it as well. And as fast as possible, exactly.
Yeah, so the Pokemon I chose here are all the fastest speed of helps and the most berries dropped. So I took that into account when choosing these Pokemon. If you see any pre-evolution of these Pokemon, you want to catch them. These are the best versions of those berry pickers that we have in the game.
So eventually you're going to want to have one Pokemon that can do each of those berries over time as fast as possible. And then as you get new Pokemon, you replace those with that. So if you have a Gengar that gives you a Bluckberry, but then you get a different Pokemon that gives you more Bluckberries later on, if they release that, then you're going to want to switch over to that.
Yeah, exactly.
As the Pokemon you use when Snorlax wants it.
So for berry teams specifically, I think the formula that I found that is most consistent is depending on the week that it is. If you say you have each of these Pokemon already, you have 1 Pokemon per berry. If that Snorlax that week is going to be Wicca, Leppa, and Lumberry, you can give them the Houndoom, the Leppa Berry is Typhlosion, and then the Butterfree. Yeah, Butterfree is Lumberry.
Yeah.
So you can give them the Houndoom, Typhlosion, and Butterfree for that week. And then the last 2 slots should be an Arcanine and a Jolteon. And the reason for that is Arcanine and Jolteon are the only 2 Pokemon in the game currently that have extra help as their main ability trigger. So if you have an Arcanine and a Jolteon with extra help and then like main chance up, that increases the speed of help instantly by 4. So it's like you just had Houndoom or Walrein, which drops 2 Rostberries. You multiply that by 4, Walrein now drops 8 berries instantly. So having 2 Pokemon on your team to do that is really buffy.
I will say the way that I do this now is I go 1 day ingredients, 1 day berries, because of course you need to charge up the energy for your berry team and your ingredient team. And you can't do that unless you go to sleep or spend gems on a pillow, but nobody wants to do that. Don't do that. I've been using a Togepi on my ingredients team, and I've hit metronome on that a couple of times. Where other Pokemon drop the berries, and oh my gosh, when that hits, it hits so nice.
The extra helpful. The thing is, that's extra helpful small. There's still a medium and a large. I don't even want to know like what that multiplies to. Is it like a ×8 and then a ×16?
Well, there are calculators out there. There are calculators out there that show like weekly totals for high Master Ball levels, because you know how. I don't know about you, but I have not hit Master Ball once. I've
gotten to Ultra 5.
Yeah, same. I usually get around Ultra 5. Yeah. I think eventually, as your Pokemon level up and as your dishes level up, I think you get some pretty nasty pointage.
That's what I think too. I think this game is very slow paced in the beginning, but eventually goes crazy.
It ramps. It ramps.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that this might be the first week that we actually hit Master Ball on Snorlax. Yeah.
Because we're actually like taking the time to get our berry mons in to cater to the berries.
But it's entirely possible that we hit like Ultra Ball on the first day, like 4 weeks from now.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, I got to Great Ball in one day, technically. And by the time it takes us to get to Master Ball is the rest of the week, which is kind of crazy to consider. But yeah, that's berry teams. Do you want to get into ingredients?
No, because I think we're still kind of working on ingredient teams.
Okay.
Trying to figure that out. I've been having trouble realizing that the ingredients that drop, that each different Pokemon drops different numbers of that ingredient. And that is something to keep in mind. Like we've done a good job, I think, on our spreadsheet of like figuring out which ones are dropped, but I think the frequency may actually change which Pokemon we end up calling the best.
Mm.
Or maybe you've already considered that when you put that in. I don't know.
I did, but by having the ingredients set up, I realized that it's probably more beneficial to have 2 ingredient teams instead of 1.
Interesting.
Because there are 11 main ingredients that you can get and 15 total ingredients. The remaining 4 only come as sub ingredients. And only certain Pokemon get those sub ingredients.
Right.
So
and
when
at certain levels. Yeah.
Yeah, and at certain levels. So it's really complicated. And I tried to make it originally so that you can have one team that gets all ingredients. And it's not possible. I tried every possible combination. You can't have 5 Pokemon to give all ingredients. So if you want to get all ingredients, you can technically have 2 teams, and those 2 teams can farm every ingredient in the game.
Okay, but you're also not really looking to get every ingredient. You're looking to get the ingredients that Snorlax is looking for that week, because Snorlax also does look for certain dishes.
Yeah, but every dish has a combination of ingredients, so it doesn't actually matter. Eventually, it all just adds up as you want every ingredient in the game. Because there's so many recipes, like it goes into a rabbit hole. There's an infinite list of recipes. All of them are different, but all of them have the same mix of 15 ingredients in them.
I will say that ever since I've started actually focusing on Pokemon sleep like you did, I've been getting a lot better sleep. Yes, I kind of game the system as well. Like I do the thing where like you just kind of put your Go Plus Plus somewhere kind of quiet and then collect the sleep later. There you go. But it's it is encouraging me to think about sleep in kind of a more wholesome way. That, you know, these days I'm actually getting 6-7 hours again, where before I was lucky if I got like 4. So
yeah. I will just mention for those that are curious, I feel like we just had spent a little bit of time on ingredients. We didn't really talk about any Pokemon that we're currently looking at. This is not a finalized list. It's just what I think is currently the best for ingredients.
Sure.
So it's a list of 11 Pokemon. All these 11 Pokemon get access to all 15 things in one form or another. We got Gengar, Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Raichu, Ditto, Golem, Victreebel, Togekiss, Kangaskhan, and Slowking.
Right.
All right. So if you're looking for maximizing your ingredients, those are the Pokemon you want. And you might also realize that there is some overlap with the berries. Gengar, Raichu, and Golem are the main overlap with the berries. So those Pokemon are just like really good at this game, apparently.
So keep that in mind when you're playing Pokemon Sleep.
Yeah.
Before we go, I have a couple of answers for last week's question. Last week, I asked, which non-TCG VGC Pokemon games do you play? Sleep, Unite, etc. What keeps you coming back? Because I'm curious, what is it about a non-mainline Pokemon game that gets people in there? Kevin has his answer of Pokemon Sleep, where he gets to, really do a deep dive and apply the things that he's learned into Pokemon Sleep. But I was curious about everyone else. Joe says Pokemon Conquest sequel when? I never got into Pokemon Conquest. Did you?
No, I did not. But I know it's got a fan base and a lot of people
absolutely
like it.
I feel like it was a really good game that I just kind of missed.
It was on that DS, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was high school for us guys. We were too edgy for that game.
I was still playing all the Pokemon games and a lot of games on DS, but that was, I guess I was playing a lot of Mario Kart. Anyway, Merlot says competitive Pokemon Go is surprisingly addictive and fun, although simple. I've been meaning to get into competitive Pokemon Go. Because of the Go Plus Plus, I've been capturing a lot more Pokemon in the game and like focusing a little bit more on Go. But
I'd hate to admit it, but I've been considering downloading Go again.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. Like after conversing with Steve and after going out to dinner with Steve and with Brooke from It's Super Effective.
Yeah.
They made me want to play Go at NAIC, but then I was like, I resisted it. I hesitated and I was like, no.
Not yet.
No Go. But like now that I got this thing, and I will admit that as much as I do love sleep has a lot of downtime. There is not much to do in the game beyond what you do at lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Like that's it. Lunch, breakfast, dinner, sleep. You can't play in your sleep. So that downtime is making me want to play a game that doesn't have downtime while I'm walking around at work. And I was like, I could just download Go and just start clicking buttons there. I have this thing in my pocket anyway. Like,
right.
So I might download Go. Yeah. Will I get into the competitive? Probably not. But I will actually probably yes, because I'm crazy.
Because I get into things like that, yeah. Cairo says, I played Unite when it first released, took 2 breaks from playing it, and started playing again while watching both Worlds and NEIC. Got a shiny Totodile in Pokemon Sleep recently. I haven't gotten a single shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Sleep.
I got a Psyduck, but Psyduck sucks. Totodile is actually good. It's on our berry list. Totodile is Oranberry.
Yes, so if you have a brave or lonely-natured Totodile or anything that gives speed of help, as long as it doesn't give skill down speed of help, it's a good Totodile right there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Joel says Sleep, Unite, Masters, EX, Cafe Remix. I just love seeing my favorite critters in all forms. So this is a person who plays every one of the outside Pokemon games.
I respect that. I feel like the older I get, the more that I respect the side games too. Just like,
well, they give so much content. They give so much stuff for you to just sink your all of your time into. And I mean, if you're into that, absolutely get into that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's hard for me to spend my time on my phone with like more than, I want to say 2 like mobile games. So like they've got Go and they've got Sleep. It will be hard for me, I think, to juggle my time with Cafe Remix as well and Masters EX. I think that's too much time on my phone and I can't.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I mean, the one thing that I will say that I considered recently is that I have considered getting back into Unite because you and me were really on top of Unite when Unite first released and about a year out and like right before Scarlet and Violet. The one thing that might stop me from coming back is just everyone having the perfect emblems and my emblems pages being absolute garbage. And then them having the immediate advantage against me is going to suck a little bit. And I feel like that's something that Unite added that, one, helped the game a lot because it introduced a new mechanic into the game that you had to grind for. But at the same time, it harms new players trying to pick up the game because they're going to get smacked around by people that had way too much time to spend on this game. If I could just buy emblem pages, fine, I'll come back. I'll come back now. Let it be
pay to win. Let's go. It's fine.
Just let me buy the emblems. I will come back now.
And so here's another thing with the Mewtwo event in Unite, they were giving out platinum emblems. Did we have platinum emblems in Unite? We didn't. So they've created a whole new class of emblems. So every one of the emblems that we had are garbage now.
Yeah, we had bronze, silver, and gold. That was it. Now they've invented platinum. That's why I'm saying just let me buy them. I'll come back. But like until they do that, like people just have such an advantage against you.
I'm still gonna come back. I'm gonna try it out. See if it's easier to get the emblems. They need to make it easy to get the emblems that they want if they want people to catch up. Because like that's a
really
hard
gotcha
stat
before.
system. Yeah, it's a hard stat system. And if you're going up against people who have them, it's going to be the haves versus the have-nots, and that is not haves versus have-nots does not a good Unite game make.
Yeah. I know, like, in competitive competition, they unlock everything, so you can kind of just pick and choose what you want while there. Yeah. But, like, not in the ranked system, I guess.
Okay, if you are listening to this and you have thoughts on what we just said in Pokemon Unite, if we're missing something, if you're screaming at your phone, your earphones, or your screen right now that they've actually fixed this, please do let me know. Please do let us know, because we'll like 100% jump back on if they have fixed that system.
Yeah.
It's not why we went off, but it'll definitely be why we come back. Let's give two more. Let's see. David says, technically not VGC, but I compete in Draft League. That's an interesting one.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
not,
a good point.
It is still technically in the mainline game, but it's a whole separate game in and of itself. Draft League Pokemon.
That's fair. I've done a couple in my day.
Sure.
I don't know how much I like them, but because I always lose at them.
Okay. And
I'm not good at picking.
That goes into the whole realm of like things in Pokemon that are not necessarily VGC, or even things that kind of are VGC but are not exactly the current system, like what you did recently. It might actually just be today. Yeah, today on the Pokésports YouTube channel, you had a battle versus Bruno, where you used every one of the current regulations. You did 4 battles, regulation A, B, C, and D. And had kind of a competition like that. Like, it's creative ways to play the game.
Yeah. Nice little homage to the VGC right before Worlds.
Right. All right. And then last one here, we've got Mewtwo and Altura, who says, Unite. There's Mewtwo in it, plus Mega Pokken Tourney. There's Mewtwo on it, plus Shadow Go. There's Mewtwo on it. 40 of them. Yes, I have that many. P.S. I transferred Marie Curie, the shiny Mewtwo, into Scarlet and Violet. Thank you for the update on that Mewtwo. You're going to have a great time for the next 2 months. I needed to make sure the second I saw that Mewtwo announcement, I'm like, whatever Mewtwo and Altura said today, I need to go and shout them out.
Read it. Yeah. They've earned it. Yeah. It's your holiday. Congratulations.
This is your Worlds. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I was going to let that be the last one, but
you know what I just realized?
Yeah.
They're probably just going to announce the trios typings at Worlds, like the Ogerpon trios typing at Worlds. That like they always have the Worlds announcement. That's probably just going to be it. They're going to show Monkey Dory, Okidogi, Pheasantipity, and maybe the Raging Bolt and Iron Crown's typings and abilities and stuff.
There are a couple trios they could announce at Worlds. They could announce that one, the Pheasantipity one, but then they could also do the Burned Tower ones. They could do Entei, Suicune, Raikou.
There's a lot, yeah. Or the Virizion ones.
Exactly, right?
What are they called?
Oh, Swords of Justice?
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Where's my Keldeo?
Where's my Keldeo? Yeah, I wanted to give one more from Aiden here. Hey, Mike and Kevin. I've been playing Go to keep contact with old friends, as well as unite with my brother when I'm not mixed up with new releases. I hope to listen in next week on my way to Japan. So just wanted to bookend that with a little bit more FOMO.
Go on that cruise.
Yeah, enjoy. Do enjoy. I've been getting pictures and notes from my friend who's in Japan right now. And honestly, I wish he'd stop.
Fair. Another thing that we forgot to mention earlier on the podcast was mochis are introduced into the game, which are a way of boosting EVs. But the important one is that there's one called a Fresh Start Mochi.
Yes.
Which deletes all EVs. The game needed that. Thank you for adding it, because there's so many times where it's like, okay, I EV'd this Pokemon. I messed up. I have to throw it away now. Or I
EV'd this away with,
Or I EV'd this Pokemon, but I want a different spread now, but I also don't want to breed a 6 IV one again. Right. Now you have the Fresh Start Mochi, so that's really good. That's going to be available in the mask, the teal mask.
There you go. Oh, that's the soon one.
Yes, that's the next week one, I guess. The next month one.
It's a month, dude. What? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to, well, that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to make a month's worth of content and just kind of let it ride.
Fair enough.
Speaking of, I need to go and make a thumbnail. So that's going to be all for Pokésports today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to go and check us out anywhere, we have been pretty active, more than usual, a little bit more than usual. the tiniest more than usual on YouTube, youtube.com/Pokésports. I streamed this week.
Hey, you did
Look
it.
at me. I finally did it. I used the Lake Trio. It was not good.
Oh.
It was not a solid
Sorry.
track record. Yeah.
Why?
The stream was good. We had a lot of good conversations there. The teams just didn't work out.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then Kevin's going to be streaming this week as well, yes?
No, it's Worlds this week. I'm not going to compete with that.
That's right. Oh, yeah, don't compete with Worlds.
I'm
You're
not
right.
competing with Worlds. I'll skip this week.
Exactly. So catch up with us.
Go
again
watch
next
Worlds.
week.
Don't watch
Go
us.
watch Worlds. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that's been us. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.